All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Green White Checker TV. It is time for the season finale here for the Area 51 Dark Horse Series at Auto Club Motor Speedway. And right now, let's say it's not gonna be a all-out brawl for the championship. It's almost just a coronation day for this fella here sitting on pit road, that number 99 of Craig Forsyth, as he has clinched the championship after last week's race. And so he's just here to have fun and still, of course, going to go for that top three position, get a win. But yeah, it's just, like I say, he's just a great season overall by Craig. And Andrew and I were talking just a moment ago and talking about we'll pull up the stats here. And you see Craig with a 77-point lead over Matt Wagner. However, 55 is the max points you can get to in a race. So that's, again, where the mathematically side comes into play. But we were talking about and looking at the numbers, and just one of those things where if one or two small things go just a tiny bit different, it really could change the outcome of how this championship had gone. Obviously, the big one for Matt Wagner was having that connectivity issues a few weeks back prevented him from even making the race without giving him a chance there. And then also you see in fourth in points, Charles Teed, he only made 7 of the races. And so unfortunately, with only the one drop week, that dropped him out of the running. But again, he's still sitting fourth with only 7 starts. And looking at the stats, 6 top 5s compared to Craig's 7. Right on par with Gary Laverne there as well. And Matt Wagner, he's just right there with him. So great job by all 4 of those guys. And even top 10, 7 top 10s compared to 8 for Matt and Gary. Craig a little more consistent with the 10, which is kind of what's bumped Craig over the numbers of Matt and Gary. So yeah, just a really great season for Craig, and honestly, a really great season for Charles T too. Just unfortunately, the numbers didn't. Just not being able to make all the races, unfortunately, real life kind of got in the way of him getting the virtual championship hunt for that one. So, but yeah, Andrew, I say it's been crazy. It's already 12 races in. We got a great car count tonight. Looks like just under 20 for this evening. And yeah, so these guys get to now just kind of go out, have fun, and looking at the distance, I say a pretty good, decent amount of space between most of the drivers, so not a lot of close points battles. The one I looked the closest right now is Casey Buhutsky, Eric Peterson, Jeff Highsong. They're all within about 10 points of each other, so that could be a really good battle for that 6th, 7th, and 8th spot in the points. Of course, everybody's going to want to get all they can, but I think most of these guys, they're going to go for just kind of go out with a bang, get the top 3 podium finish, get a win. To lead into the upcoming season, which I'll say Matt's going to be doing some announcements on at some point in this one. So, yeah, looking forward to see what these guys have in store for us tonight, and of course the upcoming seasons.
I can't believe how fast the season's gone, Kyle. I feel like I just started with you about a month and a half ago or so, and we've already gotten 12 races in here. But we got a fan favorite here. We got Auto Club Speedway. As you mentioned, the points championship is pretty much all set, all pretty much done and over with. But like you said, there's still a couple of battles for some positions throughout the field, and some of these guys are guys that haven't necessarily been up at the top of the points before. So it's going to be one of those kind of races where you want to put your best performance in to kind of end the season on a high note and perhaps go into the next season of whatever the announcement's going to be. With a little bit of momentum and confidence, and say, okay, I ended this race really well. I think next season is going to be my season that I can challenge for some race wins or perhaps contend for the championship should that be so. Looking at guys like Casey Pohotsky, like you said, we saw Eric Peterson last week. He was so close to that win, and he pretty much drove the race of his life, really. He was leading. He was confidently up there and everything. It just didn't really play out for him, but he'll get a race win before long. That's something you could definitely confirm, but we're looking at some of these newer guys here. Gary Laverne obviously has had a great season. He was relatively new to the series and everything, and he's put himself up at the front every race, but something always kind of seems to happen to him, so perhaps he just wants a nice, smooth finish tonight. And like you mentioned, Charles Teed is always a contender when he's in these types of races. So hopefully these guys, especially these mid-pack guys, make a splash tonight and put themselves on the map for whatever's coming forward.
Yeah, no, that's going to be a lot of fun to see, and I say also I was looking at the numbers, and there's a lot of guys who they're going to want to get the win. Matt Wagner surprisingly has not had a win yet with his 6 top 5, so that's kind of probably bugging him a little bit. Same for Gary Laverne with his 7 top 5s. Yari Brupacher, Casey Putsky mentioned, Eric Peterson looking for wins. Jeff Heisung, Jim Herrick for those in the top 10 in the points. So there's a lot of guys there that have a really, really good chance at trying to get a win here this season. So it's going to be a lot of fun to see. And I say, and of course, I say pop in the chat, Raphael Eckert, wishing everybody good luck tonight. I say winner last week. I say he wished everybody good luck. He got the win. So we'll see if he can get 2 for 2 as well for him in that number 064. So it's going to be a lot of fun. However, qualifying has just completed. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to pull up our official starting grid for tonight's event. And it is going to be Matt Wagner on the pole here tonight at Auto Club over Gary Laverne. Then you got Craig Forsyth, Nick DeGroot, Eric Peterson, our top 5. Jim Herrick, Raphael Reynolds, Yari Brupacher, Charles T, Jeff Heisong, top 10. Continuing down, you got Andrew McMurray, Casey Pahutsky, Raphael Eckert, Chris Dofer, Taylor Reeves, Brad Adams, Elmer Joseph, and then Jim Brooks and Bill Colley in 18th and 19th. So those will be the 19 drivers here taking part in tonight's event, as we will head over to find our drivers here at this get ready for the event here. And you see everybody starting to get lined up here. Got a good view of Gary Laverne there with behind the pace truck, and these guys just about to roll off. Everybody has gridded, and we are gonna get that one warm-up lap underway, and then we will be racing here for 100 laps. Fuel mileage will be a 2-stop race if we go green start to finish. Of course, if there's cautions, they might maybe think about taking some tires, things of that nature, to just try to do something a little different. Maybe try to get a little bit of extra fresher rubber on them. 111 track temperature, so that could come into play tonight as well. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that. But yeah, so we'll see what the strategies are going to be here tonight. Again, with the track temp as high as it is, it's going to be one of those races where we're going to want to find some air on the front wings of these cars. And you look at the backstretch here, you can see there's 5 lanes available. Will they want to use them all? Probably not. I'm going to say, though, there's probably going to be, I'd say, probably about 4 solid lanes Andrew will probably see in use here tonight.
I think that we're going to see a lot of the fanning out on the turns, but on the back straightaway, there's going to be everyone kind of single file, maybe going too wide or going kind of sitting, saving fuel, or going for the move in the next corner. So you're right. It's a wide track, but every once in a while, these guys just kind of sit in line, want to save fuel. So let's see how it happens.
Yeah, and this is one where you don't have to save to make the 2-stopper. Everybody was telling me that they should be able to pretty much just go full send start to finish. Map 1, no saving. So hearing about mid to upper 30s on the fuel mileage. First round will be a little shorter. As see the green flag in the window. Green flag is out. Already drivers peek into that 3rd lane. I think it's Yari Brupacher wasting no time. We're going to go 4 wide off the kick here as they head into turn number 1.
That's very, very risky, especially for the start of the race. But this is always the time of the race where you want to make the moves that you want to make. So these guys seem to make it safely through turn 1. Let's see how it goes into turn 3.
Yeah, looks like so far so good. Matt's at the moment hanging on to that lead, but Nick DeGroot, great start as well. He is up 2 spots in that number 89. Obviously, whenever Nick is here, he's always one to keep an eye on. And right now, it looks like Matt will, well, let's wait and see at the line. Yes, he'll just lead lap number 1 over Nick DeGroot. Craig Forsyth, you see there in 3rd. Then Gary Laverne again. I mean, the top 5 are pretty much the guys you've seen up front all season long.
One of the most trickiest things that you could think of with Auto Club Speedway is that turn 4 wall. That turn 4 wall comes up very, very fast. And where you think you're throwing your car down towards the bottom, next thing you know, you hit some dirty air and you're trying to kind of catch the car on the exit. So I think we're going to have to keep an eye on turn 4, especially as we get into the lap, 8, 9, 10 area where people are really starting to push it if they're not saving the fuel. So I'm excited to see, especially with the hotter temperatures, how these guys handle that.
Yeah, it's going to be very intriguing to see. And, we see one way up top there. I think that was Raphael Reynolds. Man, running way up against the wall there out of turn 2, like you'd just mentioned. Just snuck around Jim Herrick there in that number 40 machine. So, yeah, right now, like I said, these guys are trying to find that clean air to put on the wing. And that's what you're going to see is everybody kind of stagger just a little bit off. Try to find just any clean air you can. Then, like you said, though, once they hit the straightaways, steal all the draft you can, because you kind of get into this draft train now. And right now, Nick DeGroot's able to lead that draft train at the moment. You see, though, there's Matt Wagner just peeking into the frame. But again, he's going to then jump out to that outside line and take a look out at back here now in the right rear camera to find that 6 car.
I would say let's watch around 9th or 10th place down the front straightaway on the camera next lap. You can see everybody's going to be doing heavy lifting, trying to save that fuel. It's a fuel save game always in the series, and you'll be able to see these guys really kind of coming off the throttle, especially once they're in single file mode.
Yeah, hop on board last week's winner, Rafael Eckert, and actually just rolling 5th gear, actually down all the way to 4th gear. I really thought these guys would be riding in that 5th and 6th gear. So yeah, so a little surprised on the revs on this car here in that number 064. So I'm gonna let's go to a Charles T. Let's compare what he's doing. And here's the big difference. Look at this. He's rolling 6th gear all the way through. And then that, like you're saying, that to me says probably full fuel save out of that number 5 machine here. So again, Charles has had an amazing season in his 7 starts with 2 wins, 6 top 5s, and 7 top 10s. So every start he's had a top 10. Just a great overall season by him. So, and yeah, so it looks like I say if you're talking about fuel saving though, Andrew, he's a perfect example of that. And kind of the polar opposites we saw with Rafael Eckert rolling all the way down to 4th gear, Teed staying all the way up into 6th.
Let's watch Andrew McMurray coming down the front straightaway this time. You'll see the big fuel save as he gets towards the front of this pack here. He's drafting up on the cars ahead, and you're going to see just kind of the big lift right there entering the corner. And yeah, he's not going anywhere. He likes that high side.
And Nick DeGroot rolled out of it a bunch right there, gave up a bunch of spots. Not sure if that's maybe for fuel or not. The car that's making some moves, though, like you mentioned, Andrew McMurray, Yari Brubacher, we saw his aggressive start. He is all the way up now into that runner-up spot. He's going to go for the lead here. Oh, maybe just touched the apron for a slight second. Able to keep it safe, though. And it looks like he should lead this lap. So right now our bigger movers are Yari Brubacher, Rafael Reynolds up 4 spots in that 013. We mentioned him. You just mentioned Andrew McMurray as well. He's up a couple spots. And then Chris Stouffer, haven't talked about him. Again, one of those really talented part-time drivers. Would love to see Chris be able to kind of go for the full season and see what he could do. Because, again, I think he's another one that's pretty much would be I'd say top 3 championship contender category.
I think we're watching the tires start to wear a little bit now. Everyone's starting to kind of push higher and higher at turn 3 and turn 4 there. No one's touched that wall yet from what I've seen, but I think we're getting closer and closer to that point where some more risks might be taken, especially if you're trying to make some moves forward from, let's say, the 5th row of this double stacked up maybe towards the 3rd or second row to get it back up to the front.
Yeah, right now it's yeah, honestly, just having some experience running the NASCARs at Kansas, where it's a very high line oriented track, just the way the banking is. You've kind of got that feel here, but I was about to mention is the driver who's probably the most comfortable running the top side is this 51 car of Jim Brooks. I say we've seen him time and time again, so good at running the top. There was times where he kind of bit himself by not using the inside line when it was available to him. But you can see right here, he's going to actually hang it a little higher. Some guys start to drop down. He'll actually hold it a little higher up all the way through. Had to roll out of it a little bit out of 2. Because right now there's just nowhere for him to go up that top side. So right now he's just trying to find any little bit of clean air he can. But again, though, you can see he's about that half a groove or so higher at times than it looks like Andrew McMurray, one of those other rim riders right now.
It actually looks like some of these cars are having a harder time through 1 and 2 than 3 and 4, which is not very characteristic of this track. And I'm looking at the weather. You see that the winds are coming from the south right now. It's not too bad. If you remember last time, you and I had a blast here watching that turn 2 camera. We put the camera on the wall to see all the cars that were going very high here. And it seems like we're kind of falling into this trap again, whereas typically where I've done races here, I found turn 4 the hardest to kind of maneuver with push and dirty air and everything. But it seems like, again, compared to last season, turn 2 is the turn where, as we're watching Jim Brooks from before, you can see he kind of rides that high line and everybody ahead of him sort of pushes low and then slowly starts to track upwards, and he seems to be able to find that way right towards the outside to get that clean air on his car.
Yeah, what we'll do is, let's say next time we'll actually jump to this camera here to watch that exit out of turn number 2 to see how they're doing for that exit. But yeah, right now it's actually we got a 3-way tie for highest climber between Yari Brubacher up 7, Chris Stouffer was 7, now working on 8 spots gained, and then Jim Brooks at 7 spots gained as well. So a lot of big moves being made by these guys early. Let's say if I can get to it in time. We'll look out the back here. I'll watch them out of turn number 2. And yeah, you're right though. Definitely, they're not threatening as much as they did earlier. But again, though, like you mentioned, we're only on lap 13, so there's still a lot of time. Probably about 20 more laps on fuel, 20 more laps to burn these tires up. A very abrasive track here at Auto Club as well. So lap times holding, I want to say holding steady. They've dropped about 2 to 3 tenths, I'd say, from their fastest laps. So it does seem like the pace has fallen off just a little bit of grip there. You see, oh man, Rafael Reynolds, oh, that's as close as you can get without contact. Nick DeGroot had to roll out of the throttle there as well to avoid the contact. Oh, I think DeGroot and Jim Brooks may have made contact there. That looked like a pretty solid hit for the 51.
That's your turn. You were a lap too early for that camera, unfortunately, there, guy. I think we kind of watched a clean turn 2 there, but yeah, it seemed like Rafael got a lot of dirty air there. It looks like he's going for a run right now, actually, on the high side. I think he wants to try and find his way to the front. And I was going to mention when we were putting that camera on, we're kind of right in the middle of that. Ooh, got very close there, and it gets close again with Jim Herrick and Charles T on the bottom, but it's a little bit early. I'm just going to refute everything I just said, because I'm here saying that it's a little too early for these guys to really be pushing for positions, because we're kind of in the middle of the fuel run. It's best to kind of just stay where you are. But it looks like, from what I saw on this last lap in particular, these guys are ready to race. And I think, like you said, it's a very safe 2-stop strategy. So perhaps there's not too much fuel saving needed. So perhaps we did a little bit of fuel saving for the first 12 or so laps of this race, and now we're going to start going for it. And I'm excited to see how much jockeying for position these guys do.
Yeah, I mean, there is always that option of saving fuel to try to pit later than your competition. We were doing some talking with the drivers, and they did mention that this, even here at Michigan and Auto Club, you will get trapped a lap down if you pit under green flag conditions. So that then kind of makes that enticing strategy to run long, because if there's a caution during the pit stop cycle, you have a chance of jumping a bunch of cars here. So that's going to be where the fuel safe strategy, I think, really comes into play, is for those that really want to try to play the long game. However, there's always that opportunity for trying to do the short gain. But man, look at Christopher though. He just threw himself by Jari Brubacher, and look at that. He's going to go straight to the bottom, try to break that draft here. He's up 13 spots now to the lead.
Yeah, this is definitely one of it gets very close.
I saw that.
Yeah, this is one of Christopher's key types of tracks, and he can kind of see the mess happening around him, and he knows there's a time to pounce. And sometimes that time to pounce isn't what you want it to be, but it's when the opportunity opens up. And when these guys started to jockey for position a little bit, it's almost like he predicted that might happen, and waited for his moment to kind of jump on it there, and you saw he moved right into the second place spot there.
Oh, I just saw a little bit of a front wing. Possibly, I think it's this guy right here, Eric Peterson. And yeah, right front wing there is missing from Peterson. Let me try to go back here. We'll do one more look at it, see if we can find what happened to Mr. Peterson here out of turn number 4, it looks like. Wonder if we're going to see some contact with
Actually,
he and
around the front straightaway, yeah.
Maybe he and Gary Laverne here. We'll watch and see. Oh yeah, just they kind of one moved up, one moved down, and they kind of met in the middle. So we'll jump back live. I can tell you Peterson is on pit road as we speak, because yeah, I mean that car's just not going to rotate. And again, also got a little bit of the wall there, so this puts him outside the fuel window still. However, right now would be the only car a lap down at the moment. And this is also a tough decision to make here as well, Andrew. Do you go ahead and take the fast repair if it's just wing damage, or do you just eat the extra 5 seconds for that front wing change in order to save that fast repair for later in the race?
I think you just kind of take the front wing repair. I think that's exactly what he did as he's exiting the pits now. You don't want to ruin your fast repair too early, especially this track, this race seems to be very packed up right now. So anything can happen really, and if you use it too early, and you put yourself in a spot that you don't have it later on should something happen, which we saw at Kentucky last week happen a couple times. It just puts you in a spot where you have to be a little bit more careful, and you don't have as much risk involved. But I'm not so upset by this strategy from Peterson, because everybody's kind of on the same 2-stop strategy right now. But if a caution falls a certain way, he can get a wave around. being a lap down, and perhaps he can find himself in a situation where he might be a little bit different strategy, probably not what he wanted, but if everyone's on the same thing, why not try something a little bit different, even though it wasn't assigned to him?
Yeah, so I was saying sometimes a bad break winds up working out in your favor. So the other thing I want to compare is, I mean, right now we talk about, as I said that, we talk about the swap draft as Rafael Reynolds, though he's going to try to go to the top there and try to get 2-for-1 here. It seemed like Matt and Chris were kind of working the swap draft to keep the pace of that race up a little higher. As Gary Laverne trying to sneak to the outside of Matt Wagner there as well. This is going to be a really good opportunity for that number 013 to take the lead here. He's going to dive it into turn number 1. But I was going to say they had been just kind of following the leader, but last few laps they've really been going more aggressive on the swap draft. And so I was curious to see what lap times would be compared to Peterson, who's running solo right now. But again, I think with them doing the swap draft like they're doing, this is keeping that pace up just a little bit faster than 36. Waiting for him to finish his lap right now. He ran a 33:10 compared to the guys up front with 32:90, 32:80. So yeah, about 2 to 3 tenths slower. And that's again just due to the way we're seeing the swap drafting happening up here.
I think that the swap drafting on a big super speedway like this is a little bit trickier to carry out, especially because everybody's kind of in that draft, and the draft window on these cars are so long and so large that it's very hard to try and pull away necessarily, but you could definitely try and pull the group along faster by doing the swap draft situation. So just using Eric Peterson as the example, he's running about a tenth faster than the cars that are in the lead right now, which proves to me two things: that they're not swap drafting, and the tire wear probably isn't really hurting their pace too much. So I would have thought that if they were doing some sort of fuel savers or the tires were starting to wear, that maybe Peterson would really start to be about 3-4 tenths faster than the pack. But everyone seems to be doing low 33s, even with the draft, and it seems like Peterson is also doing these low 33s by himself. So the pace is kind of equalized for that. So unfortunate for Peterson that he can't really catch up to the group and try and make some hay, and maybe come out and be his own leader once the pit stop cycle is complete.
Yeah, so what will probably happen for him, though, is like you said, is should be able to cycle out in the draft with some of these guys. Again, that pit window probably within the next 5 to 10 laps, I would say, is going to be what we see from a lot of these drivers. And yeah, I've been seeing, again, kind of some movers moving back forward. Obviously, Jim Brooks had his little hiccup. He's been able to recover fairly well. He's moved himself back in just outside the top 10 now. But it seems like the pace is still there in the 51. Nick DeGroot's starting to make his charge back up as well. I think some strategies of maybe trying to save some tire a little bit. And then that puts me right back to that's the 064. We talked about him. Always seems to be just really good on the long run. So I think we're starting to see him probably start to show some pace out of that 64 car as well to kind of get ready to start challenging as we hit that pit cycle window.
It looks like these guys are back to a fuel save again, because you can see down the front straightaway they're all staying high and kind of staying lockstep and right in a line of each other and really doing heavy lifts, because the lap times have come back down again to mid 33s. So the leaders are doing high 32s, and these guys back in 7th, 8th, 9th place are all lifting and doing mid 33s again. So it's kind of this ebb and flow theory here, where you have enough fuel to do 2 stops with an easy fuel save, but sometimes it's best to just stay in the pack, and you can make your pit stops shorter by saving the fuel that you need.
I think what we're going to do next time around is we're going to do like we talked about a moment ago. We're going to watch them out of turn number 2 again, because again, I think the tires are worn. We're about to start lap 30, and I'm starting to see some cars really have a little bit more struggles coming through the exits of, especially like you said, turn 2. So we're going to keep an eye on that, see how they're looking. Lap times, like you said, still holding pretty steady in that upper, like low 31s, high 32s. So not a huge change there. Let's see if I can catch them here in time. These guys are usually too quick. And yeah, they're definitely flirting with it a little more than they were previously. Not terrible, but definitely looks to be a little tighter.
It looked like T that time was the one who kind of pushed up quite a bit. He pushed up about a lane and a half. And I think we're back to not fuel saving again, because the pack's starting to split up again. So it's interesting how these guys sort of know when to work together on certain laps and when they really got to push it. And it's not like a regular fuel save race where you have to fuel save right from exiting pit road. It's one of those like, okay, I'll save fuel for 3 laps and then I'll maybe catch someone sleeping as they're saving fuel on the next lap, kind of thing. They work together in some aspect, but other times they're like, nope, I'm going to pick up 4 positions on this corner.
Yeah, that's what Charles Teed had some plans on doing, but then Yari Brubacher ran the inside line, which is exactly where Teed wanted to go. He lost all that momentum, had to back it down, almost gave an option for Raphael Reynolds to try to make a move on him. And so now he's got to regroup and do it again. And here you go. There's that stagger we talked about. You see one to the bottom, one I would say middle, kind of middle top, and then Teed having to go that extra groove up. But now he's going to get that big tail here down the back, and we'll see if he's going to try to make a move. Nope, he's going to stay tucked in here, still behind the 13.
Interesting that Yari is pitting this lap, and it's kind of very close to lap 33. He's going to have to do a lot of fuel saving if he's going to do 2 stops here.
Yeah, he's right on. They're going to be coming to 33 now. So this is a little bit of a short pit. So this might be a strategy call where, hey, I want to try to jump out and get in front of the guys and take the gamble of maybe getting trapped a lap down. So I think that's what we're seeing out of Yari is because if he gets a good pit stop here, he could come out right in the draft of those other guys and pull right back up to him and almost kind of have a net gain. I already see Stouffer. It looks like he's hugging it to the inside. No, he's going to continue to stay out. And it looks like, yeah, that's it.
Let me correct myself. I do remember you mentioning at the start of this race that they had a bit of a fuel glitch. So they did start with a little less fuel than expected. So
actually, a long stop for Yari too, 10 seconds.
Yeah, I think we're actually okay for 2 stops, like you mentioned, because they started this race on a shorter fuel tank for whatever reason. So if Yari was able to make it 32 and these guys are making it to 33, then it should be a super easy 2-stopper, especially if they are able to fill the tanks all the way to the top for the next stop. They should be able to go to like lap 67, 68 at the very least.
And so this opens up, like you just talked about too, the fuel saving side of things. This might be actually where it's worthwhile to have been saving fuel because now you're not going to have to put as much fuel into these cars, and that shorter pit stop is going to pay big dividends. So, looking right now, and Yari's definitely been the furthest out from his pit stop. I can tell you, Peterson and Jim Brooks, they've come out together, so at least there'll be some draft. Matt Wagner's going to head onto pit road now in that number 6. And what I'm also seeing, Andrew, is I'm seeing a lot of front brake lockup on the entry. These things seem to be very forward biased on the brakes, which makes it really hard to slow down in time. And look at this, though. I'm going to Christopher here, waiting for Yari, and he is almost there here. So it's going to be close between the two of them. This is, again, these two are right up front when they pitted. And actually give the pit stop here to Christopher.
Yeah, you were mentioning the brake lock. This is definitely one of those tracks where it's very, very hard to find your spot to brake, especially if you're braking with somebody, because you kind of have to work together to make sure you're going to stop together and not overdo it or anything like that. So that you're right. This is definitely one of the trickier ones to get down on pit road, especially with the front locking. And the other thing is it's very easy to go right through your box because of the asphalt to concrete mix. You think you're going to be able to stop in time, and next thing you know, you're stopping on more slippery surface, and it's very easy to go right through your pit box.
Looks like Craig's going to continue to go a little further. Gary Laverne will hit pit road here. And yeah, so we'll be keeping an eye and see where everybody cycles out. Right now, with the ones we have together are these guys here, Yari Brubacher, Christopher, Matt Wagner, all together. But again, though, with these pit stops being 9-10 seconds long, that's actually pulled them out of the draft. Now we look up here to Nick DeGroot, Charles Teed as they roll up to speed. Here comes those guys at the head of steam. So it looks like these 5 will wind up together. And you see just a little further back there, Eric Peterson leading that group with Raphael Reynolds and Jim Brooks. We're going to jump back up front, though, because here comes a big chunk of the cars on pit road. And that's going to leave 2 drivers, it looks like, yet to pit, which will be Raphael Eckert and Jim Herrick doing some really good fuel saving.
It looks like these guys have definitely made the point clear that you could do this on 2 stops, especially if you're doing your first stint on 38, 39 laps. Yeah, we're on 38, or we're starting 39 now. So 37, 38 laps with the fuel save and on a shorter tank. So the last of the guys are pitting here. So I believe you're right. I think Christopher had kind of the best stop of the group there. So he might jump ahead here, but let's see where Craig Forsyth comes out.
Yeah, and that's going to be, I've been watching the pit stop times, and honestly, pretty much everybody's in a similar boat pit stop wise. The so far one of the longest ones I've seen is about 10.4 seconds stopped in their pit lane, which is Matt Wagner. The shortest I'm seeing is about 9.5, so really only a second margin. So even all that fuel saving hasn't made a huge difference. But like you said about Craig, though, Craig was 9.9 seconds compared to Christopher's 9.8. So yeah, no real rhyme or reason at this point. I'd say it's hard to say how it's going to all cycle through, but Jim Herrick just exiting pits. There they go. Raphael Eckert getting up to speed right now in that 064 as we watch out the rear of his car. Yep, here comes everybody. Craig on the bottom trying to steal some draft. And good work from these guys back here. Look at these guys, Peterson, Reynolds, and company. They're in the draft window again, so we might have back up to, I think, 15 cars, it looks like, after this first pit cycle.
I think you had mentioned that it looked like Yari had a bad stop, but look at him up here challenging for the lead here. So it may have been just long in the box because he was waiting for the fuel to make sure the fuel was completely set in the car before going. So not a penalty or anything for Yari, so good job to him there. And he's right back here in the mix again, right kind of where he was sitting right before he took the pit stop from wherever he was, second or third. So
yeah, no, it's a really good stop for Yari. And I'm looking also at the total pit lane time, and pretty much everybody was in a lot of drivers are in the 44 or so second bracket. But one stands out to me a bunch, and that's the 064. One more time, he was 42.03 seconds pit lane time compared to Yari was 44.92. So again, nearly 3 seconds shorter on pit lane altogether from the 064 compared to Yari. So that's a really good in and out lap for Raphael. And again, he and Jim Herrick were the two that went the furthest on fuel to lap 39 compared to, let's say, 32 for Yari. So also a little bit fresher tires, so that could still come into play as well. And unfortunately, it seems like this group here is kind of fizzled back out here trying to catch those guys. They've fallen just outside that 1.5 second bracket. So again, they got to start doing that swap draft to try to pull themselves back in. Lap time wise, they did run a 32.91, about 2/10 quicker than Craig Forsyth for 33.19.
This group is really starting to pack back up again. For the hot temperatures that we have here, we have what is it, 108.
It's cooled down a little bit, yeah, 107 now, yeah.
Down. Yeah, it was up in the mid 110s before, so it started to cool down a bit, but we can see that we still have this kind of pack racing situation going, and these guys are definitely trying to still play a fuel save game, even though they know they can make it another pit stop. Would have expected a little more action, especially from some of these guys such as Wagner, Nick DeGroot, and such that really feel like they should be more up towards the front, but are just kind of hanging out back here and maybe just find their way.
I'm also wondering maybe after that first run, they maybe felt like, hey, we really killed our tires that first run. Let's back it down a teeny bit to make sure we have tires at the end of the run. I wonder if that may be coming into play too, because it seemed like some of those drivers, like you said, were starting to really struggle towards the later half there. But of course, as I say, Nick's listening to you, I think, because as soon as you made a comment, he's gained a couple spots here now up to fourth, and he's looking to the outside of Yari here to see if he can get a good exit, which he's going to get a great exit out of 4. The problem is, where does he take it here down the front?
I think he's just going to kind of sit because it's kind of packed up and there's not a lot of room to go here. I think Craig has just kind of pinned himself right to the bottom line for now. We got both Yari and Chris that are just trying to kind of maneuver, but as we've mentioned before, Chris and Craig are teammates in this league, so it's quite possible that it's just kind of putting up a wall for anyone else to really maneuver, but it's not going to stay that way for long, especially when you got Matt, Nick, and Yari, all guys that are credible and guys in the series that know how to get to the front. They're not going to be able to take that for much longer.
Yeah, at some point the move will happen, but you're right, though. I mean, Chris is definitely just kind of, I'm not going to say running wingman, but he's doing a good job staying pretty much lockstep with him. I can tell you those other guys, though, they've now just made their way back, so they should be able to hold from here. So add Raphael Reynolds, Eric Peterson, Jim Brooks, Jeff Heisong, Casey Putsky. So yeah, so 15 cars in this lead pack. Unfortunately, 3 that have fallen off the pack. Taylor Reeves, Elmer Joseph, Brad Adams. But again, they're still trying to run some laps. So you see the swap draft happening right there with them. And then Bill Colley, unfortunately, so he had a pretty lengthy pit stop, so he's fallen out pretty much about a half a lap down at the moment. So again, he'll want to break. And of course, while we go back and look at that up front, they go 3 wide another time here with Matt Wagner now trying to get to the point.
It all kind of seems lockstep right now. We got Nick kind of just hanging out here in the middle part of the top 10. I would have expected him to really try and make his way forward, kind of like what we were seeing with him in Kentucky last week. But perhaps he's just kind of doing the Christopher approach from the first stint and just waiting for his opportunity to pounce, because he just sees a wall of cars up ahead. And perhaps there's not really too much to do for him, or he may not find his car works in certain situations. So it's just a matter of time before we see Nick make his way forward, and who knows, perhaps he's going for the I'm going to fill my fuel tank a little bit shorter than the rest of you guys and then beat everyone out of the pits by a few seconds. So there's always a little calculation going on there.
And that's actually a really good point, because again, these guys do need to still make one more pit stop before the end of this race. So, and again, we'll see if it winds up being under green or caution. But you're spot on there, though, Andrew, because again, Jari Brubacher pitted at 32. So we know he's going to probably have a lengthier pit stop on his next one just because of the distance. Then you go to those who went the furthest, all the way to lap 39, Jim Herrick, Raphael Eckert. And they're kind of, again, back on cruise control. So can they maybe turn that 9-10 second pit stop into a 7-8 second pit stop? I mean, that's going to make a huge difference in this race. And again, then there's the opportunity, too, of when do you make that final stop? Do you decide, hey, let's try to short pit it, kind of like we saw with Jari, or do we just run it as far as we can? Because, again, there's that potential. If you can really nail your pit stop and get out with the field, there's a great chance that you might be able to kind of grab that draft and almost net cycle yourself up through and past the draft for them to even have a chance to get you. But so you just cross halfway point, and we're back 3 wide here for the lead.
I don't really see any benefit for an early pit stop in this case, because yes, you'll put yourself in some sort of draft window, but look at where's there room, Guile? Point to me where there's any room for anybody to come out at the back of this field or in the middle of this field to try and bust their way to the front. It's next to impossible. We saw with Eric Peterson running by himself, he was running the same lap times as the leaders were running on 20-something lap old tires. So I really, personally, if it were me, I could be totally wrong here, but I do not see a benefit to pitting early. I think these guys are going to go as late as they possibly can, or time it maybe 3 or 4 laps early so that, yes, they come out in the pack, but everybody's going to be peeling off one by one. And if you catch the right amount of draft from the right amount of drivers from the same situation, then when everyone peels off, you'll just be way out in the lead. So it's definitely very important to pick your pit stop timely.
Yeah, that's a really good point, too. And like you mentioned, it doesn't seem like there is a ton of follow-up. It seems like right now, yeah, the pace has dropped a little bit because we haven't seen that swap drafting happening lately. And so, yeah, these guys now running in the 3320s or so compared to the upper 30, or so, yeah, upper 32s, I should say. And so, yeah, so right now that's, I think, the main thing. And also, really, Craig is one of the few so far that's been able to really kind of hug the bottom without too much drama. As we've seen before, someone get a big run, they jump to the outside and even maybe be able to clear him. You're watching Jari try to do that exact thing now. But again, though, I don't think entering 3, can't quite clear him still. But yeah, so far, Craig hasn't really had too much issue hugging the bottom lane, as Yari's maybe thought about trying to cut underneath him, but couldn't quite do it one more time. But yeah, so right now, also wondered, is that going to maybe be hurting Craig's right front tire? Might start making push later on in the run.
I think it will. I think eventually it's going to be very difficult to hold the line down there. But what I'm more concerned about is a lot of these guys in like 4 or 5 rows back there are taking the low line. Craig is trying to steal the bottom, and everybody behind him is kind of swinging down there to keep the draft going. And if there's any cars on the bottom, we've already seen a couple of very close calls with guys that are trying to swing down to the bottom to get that draft, and there are cars down that low line. So that's what I'm most concerned about right now. It looks like we got Raphael Reynolds that's making a big move here on all these fuel-saving guys.
Yeah, so he was one of those guys that was in that pack back with Peterson and Jim Brooks and Casey Pahutsky, but right there you saw how bad the aero wash is, and he was going for about 2nd, 3rd position. He's now fallen all the way back to 7th, almost 8th now, just from that one little miscue, having to roll out of the throttle from the dirty air. And that just tells you, again, also how much you got to find that, position your car in the right spot to get the clean air I can tell you Eric Peterson's on pair. Again, this is a scheduled stop for him. Again, he had that front wing damage that he had to get serviced right off the bat. So, again, can't make it to the end. But the other option that he might have this time to work with is he might have some drafting help when he comes out this time around, because he'll have a couple cars with Brad Adams, Elmer Joseph, Taylor Reeves. Might be able to tag with them and steal a little bit of extra draft and help his pace out.
Well, this is actually a good bellwether here. We could see if he does come out in the pack, if he is able to make his way towards the front, because this is kind of going back to what we were saying before for anybody that's early stopping. If they're early stopping, actually it looks like
It's a long stop.
Yeah, that was a very long stop from him. Okay, so I was going to say that if he comes out with the pack and if he's able to go to the front, then maybe other people will see that and say, okay, maybe I should early pit stop and try and make my way to the front, but we'll never know that now.
However, what he does have going for him is if he can tag onto the back of these two, grab that draft, you can see he's trying to stay right in their tire tracks. That's going to be a really good opportunity for him to hopefully hold on to this draft. So that's going to be his goal right now, is to tag onto those guys. Maybe also kind of is a ladder for Taylor Reeves to pull back in on him too. So again, I'll keep it on his lap time, see how things are looking. But yeah, right now though, like I said, Craig's just he's going to live this bottom lane as long as he can. And again, we've got probably, I'd say, about 10 laps for these guys to safely make it to the end on fuel. But again, though, I really think that some of these guys, I'm curious to see who blinks first. So I think somebody's going to try to do that short pit strategy.
I'm watching these guys battle up here. I mean, in my opinion, Yari's being a little too nice, and he's not really giving Craig a lot of space to maneuver on the bottom line. And you kind of want to really try and make the car on the bottom line work their car a little bit more and work that bottom line, because if you're just giving them like a lane and a half, 2 lanes, you're really allowing them to push up the track and everything. But I also see where Yari's coming from. He's trying his best to get the best draft situation, but he is getting closer and closer as you see as laps go by and these tires start to wear. He is kind of challenging at the line. So it may seem like Craig is really just kind of pinned to that bottom line, but should it be a 25, 30 lap run to the end here, it's quite possible that Yari could just beat Craig to the line just with a certain draft. But you saw that he did split up the Stouffer and Forsyth situation up at the front here. So it is possible to get past second place, but first place is a whole other story. We can watch how close they are at the line this time by.
Yeah, this time Craig just about a half a car. But you're right, though. You talk about the gaps that are being given, and that was too big of a gap because Rafael Eckert saw it and he said, "Don't mind if I do." And it was literally about what I was going to say was Yari was giving Craig about a lane, I should say, in between the two of them. If you use the seams there as your comparison, you had Craig on the bottom seam. Yari was running the third seam. This time, look at Yari. He's going to run that second seam, and look how further forward he got there just from running that little bit tighter. And I think that little moment, there's again, Rafael's making the big move. Man, so these guys are really getting aggressive now as we get close to that fuel window.
Look how, yes, you stole the words right out of my mouth there. It looks like it's even all the way back to 8th place. We're all getting very tight here, and I think that has to do with a lot of the fact that Craig's tires are a little slower, and both Yari and Craig are running a little bit slower side by side up front as the tires start to wear because they're not rounding the corners as fast. So it's definitely going to start to close up here. We can see the top 13 are all within about a second and a half or so. We got Jeff Heisong back up in 13th place, just kind of hanging out back here and watching these guys with his popcorn and ready to see what he could do.
And I also wonder now, after twice now Yari Brubacher getting squeezed in the middle there by the 64, is that something where, as I didn't say, that here goes Yari going to do the same going through the middle here, and he's actually going to clear Craig there, and now Craig's going to get a big dose of dirty air, and look how bad the 99 washes up there out of 4. And that's, again, I think Yari's seeing what the 64 is able to do, and at some point also these guys are going to say, hey, I got to be a little more aggressive on that side draft and not give that full car width, because we've seen that drivers are going to take that. If that window's there, I'm going to go ahead and fill that gap and try to get to the front.
You can see that Yari's giving Craig a taste of his own medicine, just riding that bottom line all the way around the track. But you got Eckert that's definitely looking a little bit more racy, and he's kind of mixing it up a little bit more. But Yari's going to do the same exact moves, but keep in mind that both Yari and Craig now have probably the most worn tires, using a lot of wheel to get around the corner. So I think it's just going to stack up the field even more, and we're going to see some more players kind of show up here in the mix.
Yeah, and Yari is also going to should be pretty much the first to hit pit road too, so we'll probably see him call it in. Oh, Rafael got really tight there out of 2, and you see Charles Teed having to try to jump to the outside. And we've been talking about all these guys, but we've kind of haven't really talked about Andrew McMurray too much, and he's been right there just kind of just watching and cruising with these guys in this top 3, top 4 spots here. And right now, look at the top 5. They've built a huge margin, almost a full second out over Gary Laverne. And you can see Christopher, I think he saw that. He's going to react to it and say, hey, we got to get back after these guys, not let them sneak away. So I'd say, again, I think that tire wear is starting to show for a couple of these guys.
Actually, I noticed that there was quite a bit of a tight moment for a bunch of cars in the bottom part of the top 10 out of turn 2, with that same situation with the cars running very low on the apron and cars that were already low, and it kind of bobbled up the top 6 or so. We got a pitter.
Oh, Craig the Gambler.
Craig. Interesting.
So Craig's going for the gamble and say there's no championship to worry about. So he's thinking race win. And he said, you know what? I am pitting as soon as I'm in my window. We saw Yari. He went 32 laps. Craig is pitting 33 to go. So I'm very intrigued now to see, do we see a lot of reaction to this or not? And also we got to see, where does Craig come out in relation to this? Because again, he's been leading a lot. So he's been burning a lot of fuel. I think Yari's coming in too. He's going to bring along Gary Laverne with him. And I'm going to say, entry-wise, I think Craig's going to win that battle. It looked like he was able to get in a lot hotter than those two. Looking for Craig. He's leaving pit road now, and he just can't quite tag onto the back of those guys, even with an 8.3-second pit stop. You can see there Craig in the back window, so he won't get that toe that he was hoping to get.
Well, I think he's going to get the toe from the rest of the cars that are coming in, so we're going to be having a battle of 2 packs here very shortly. And you have to drop off that first pack as soon as you possibly can. As soon as you realize that there are cars that are working together doing a swap draft, it is no longer beneficial to be out there on old tires doing a swap draft. Yes, you have less fuel and everything, but the cars are going to be much more motivated to go faster in the second pack.
And look how much time. Yeah, I mean, look at Yari. He's still building speed. Craig is gone. I mean, he got one around. Spinning. And there's the concern. That was the concern that we could have seen. And that's going to bring out the yellow. Now it's just Gary Laverne trying to be a little too aggressive on the throttle there. Came up onto the track. Caution is out. And that's Craig saying, man, I took the gamble. It didn't quite pay off. We had Rafael Reynolds on pit road as well. He's going to get trapped lap down. So those guys that went long, this is going to be basically some benefit.
Who's the dog going to be is my question, because of the whole dynamic situation. It might be a little bit sketchy, and I
think it may be Craig.
I actually think it might be Yari, because it depends on when iRacing marks you a lap down, right? It's not just when the yellow exactly comes out. I'm not sure, but yeah, we'll take a look at Gary Laverne's
we're going to focus on Gary. And so we'll back it up just a teeny bit to get a better view of it. And again, this is just Gary's just going full hustle. He's trying to stay up on the draft of Yari. And so you can see he gets through one. And then right there, you can see right side tires above the white line. And we talked about time and time again, these cars absolutely hate banking transitions. And that just loops him around. Again, no contact, anything like that. But what happens, though, is he starts sliding up on the track. Here comes all the other cars. And you see the light flash on the back of him. That means caution is out. So just basically, just due to where he was. But yeah, you're right, though. I mean, however, at the time of the yellow, so we'll pause it real quick. We jump over to Craig. There he is on track. However, where's Rafael Reynolds in this whole time? He's on pit road. So that's going to be, I think, the other question. But actually, we can have the answer. It's going to be Craig getting the wave around. But again, not really. It's not going to really gain him anything because he can throw on another set of tires, but he's fueled to the end. He's good to go there. Rafael Yari, they're going to get the wave around. Gary Laverne's going to wave around as well. Although I think Gary may have a penalty for an unsafe pit exit, I would suspect.
Probably, yeah.
My question mark is, if you're Eric Peterson here, what do you do, Andrew? Do you go ahead and say, you know what? I'm going to take the wave around and bank on the yellow now that it's going to be an outright brawl to the end, knowing that you can't make it to the end? and risk having to make another green flag pit stop, or what do you do if you're the 36 here?
I think you do exactly what you said. I think you just stay out and you take your lap back and say, I hate to say it, but do see some restart incidents and everything here. So I would say there's a good chance for another yellow before the end of this race and before he'd have to pit. Keep in mind, he did pit on lap 50. What was it? 56. Yeah.
Yep.
So it's not like he's in dire need of fuel. I think he could definitely go another 15 to 20, maybe not 20, with the yellow closer to like 15 or so.
Well, you can see the position of his car. He's not even hinting at pitting, so I think we got the answer. And I like the same.
To go.
Yeah, I think this is the right call because I think we should get the one to go this time around.
Craig is stopping.
Yeah, Craig did pit. He went ahead and just threw some tires on that thing. And again, it was a risk versus reward, and I think, again, if it had gone green, I think that would have been a great job by Craig. I think he would have actually had a chance to break the draft from the field. So what you do see, though, is all those guys getting their laps back. Raphael Reynolds getting the wave around, Yari Brewpacher, Eric Peterson, as well as Gary Laverne. So that's going to give us the entire field here back on the lead lap. And we're going to start this thing with 27 to go. For 18 of the 19 drivers, fuel is a non-issue now. And yeah, we're going to have an all-out brawl here to the end to finish up the season.
I would love to see Eric Peterson get back in the mix again, especially because he drove so well at Kentucky last week. I think he definitely has a shot here. We got a bunch of wave around cars right now, so we got one to go. Yeah, everybody's back on the lead lap again, which is pretty great. There's no DNFs yet. Everybody's still in this race, so everybody's got a shot to win it. And like I mentioned in the pre-race, we got a lot of guys in this mid-pack that are hungry to end their season on a high note. And I'm pretty sure they want to try and get up to the top 10 if they can, get the best finish they can. Andrew McMurray is one of those guys we were mentioning. He's kind of part-time. He kind of comes and goes. He's having a great race right now in second place, and I'm sure he would love to have a great top 5 or even better podium finish tonight.
Yeah, exactly right. Eckert obviously trying to go for 2 in a row. That's always a nice little feather to put in your cap. So we're about to see what's going to happen, though, because that pace car or truck is about to pull off. That is going to hand it over to Raphael Eckert here as he's down and away. We're back to green, 27 laps to go at the line. And so far, it looks like a fairly clean restart through the field. I say a little bit busy right around here with the 66, the 51. They have the 76, 34. They are all bunched up together here. But yeah, so far so good. Looks like a clean start. And Craig's got a lot of work to do to try to get some of that track position back, and he's wasting no time.
I think we're going to see that excitement really kind of stir up here. Like we were mentioning, there's no more fuel concerns left in this race. Everybody's going to be really going for it. I don't think we're going to see any fuel save action going on. I think everybody's going to really be going for it, and it'll be a very exciting last 25 laps.
Yeah, 66 there. Elmo Joseph caught the wall. He's on the apron. Okay, he's good to go now. Caught the wall a little bit out before. I think that's, again, just cold tires, not building up temperature yet. But we're going to jump back up front because we've got not a breakaway, but a slight breakaway for these top 4. And Craig is slicing and dicing. Is looking at Nick DeGroote. He's going to make a big move to the bottom, trying to go for the lead.
It was only a matter of time before we saw Nick up front. He was kind of buying his time a little bit, and he's shown his face up here where he feels like he belongs. So Nick takes the lead, and I'm sure he's going to pull a Craig Forsyth right now and just pin himself right to that bottom line. So let's see if anyone else can outdo him in turn 2 here.
And I'm going to say answer right now is yes. Raphael's able to actually hold a great exit. I think he's going to clear him. Look at that, able to hug the outside line and still hold on to that top spot. So a little further back there, so you can see it's a really big battle here with Craig Forsyth there. Casey Buhutsky, then just further back there, Taylor Reeves, Raphael Reynolds, Jim Brooks, Yari Brewpacher, all these guys. Again, these guys are fighting tooth and nail for position, but also track position. So there's a lot of battles going on, but we'll jump back up front because now we've got a third car vying for the lead there, but he's going to get a bunch of dirty air, and that's Christopher. And add Charles T to the mix here as well, and now Matt Wagner and Jim Hericall joining the party.
You can definitely tell the pace has picked up because you pretty much lost the top 10th, 11th, 12th place in this pack. They're all trying to find their way. Craig Forsyth is right in the middle of this. Oh, Taylor Reeves gets a little bit tight on the bottom. I think he saves it, and is that Buhutsky? Oh, yeah, Casey Buhutsky manages to find his way up into P10 right now. So these guys have lost the draft. They're going to have to really work together and figure out the best swap drafting situation to get themselves back up in this front pack again.
Yeah, Jeff Heisong, Craig Forrest, it's about a second and a half between them. So Craig is tantalizingly close to the draft, but I'm watching the ticker, and yeah, it went from 1.5 to 1.6 just down the back straightaway. So you're right. So they're going to have to start coordinating, maybe starting to chat with each other in Discord. As you saw right there, Christopher got to the outside, or got clear of Charles Teed. Charles Teed went straight to the inside, but the momentum was not there for the draft. So now, Chris is going to jump to the bottom, but again, though, dirty air off the back of the 64. Charles T does a really nice, you see that late apex he took there? That got him a great exit out of turn number 2.
And watch, this is a knockdown drag out fight with Forsyth, Reeds, and Pahusky back here. They're not organized whatsoever, but one thing to mention is that the guys up front, they have a decent enough pack where that they're going to start to slowly fall back to this pack, trying to find clean air and everything. So I think that Forsyth, Pahusky, Reeds, and I think Jim Brooks is in this now as well. They're going to find their way back up front. It might just take about 10 laps or so.
Yeah, they got to realize, hey, we need to work together to have a chance to go for the win of this race. And then from there, we can start dicing it up with ourselves. But yeah, and right now, like I said, with the leaders racing the way they are, they're not trying to do swap draft. There's passing happening, but it's, again, just due to the big moves that are being made here. As you see, Teed's going to jump to the top. That's going to let DeGroot take over the bottom. Andrew McMurray's trying to figure out where he wants to position himself. Matt Wagner's joined the mix along with Jim Herrick, Jeff Heisong. So, yeah, we've got the top 8 just kind of throw them under a blanket right now. And it's just, again, right now, it's who gets the better exit. And Raphael's got something out of turn 2. He's got a really good exit speed in that 64.
It's getting very hectic up front here, and this is exactly what we've been looking for. We've been looking for some really close battles. Some of these guys in the back of this pack are doing 33.0s, whereas Craig did a 32.6 last lap. So he is going to start eating that gap up quite a bit, and I think he's going to find his way up here before lap 90 or so.
He was half a second quicker that last time around. So, yeah, he's within 1.1, now 1 second. So yeah, he broke the window just like you were talking about. So now he's right in it. And so now he's going to start to feel the dirty air, but he's also going to get that huge draft down the straightaways here, which is a great example right here on board with Jeff Heisong. We saw right there how quick he pulled up onto the rear bumper there of Jim Herrick.
You can see how fast these cars are going. They're going so fast. They're going 225 miles an hour down these straightaways. These laps are ticking away very fast, and I'm very excited that we're ending the series here, the season on this track here, really showcasing the speed of these cars, and these guys are really putting on a show for us tonight.
Yeah, it's a really good run that everybody's doing right now. Can't tell you Eric Peterson is back on pit road, but again, I love the gamble because even now, if there's another yellow, he'll still be only one lap down. So there's still options for him to get back on the lead lap because right now he'll be the only car one down as they run. So yeah, so he's going to hope for a yellow, but not too late of a yellow because he wants to have a chance to charge back up there. And the way these guys are dicing it up, one little mistake there's a really good chance of taking out about 5 or 6 cars. So hopefully they keep it clean and green. But like I said, Eric Peterson's kind of hoping for someone to make a small mistake.
I was thinking Eric might have gone on no tire stop just to try and get himself closer to that pack here. Yeah, I think most of these guys are going to pit on the last few laps here. Look at this top 13 or so. They've all gotten back together again because of the pace of these guys that are running in the middle of the top 8 or so. They slowed down enough that they were able to catch back up to this pack again. So now we got the entire field pretty much thrown under a blanket. Oh, we got an incident.
Oh, big hit to the inside wall by Charles Teed. He stays straight. He went off track, so it doesn't bring out a yellow. Let's go back to see what happened here to Teed. So we'll focus on that number 5 machine as it comes out of turn number 2. Does this car just step out? And also, did I go too far back? Oh, I think a little bit of I think Stouffer and T are going for the same real estate, and maybe a little bit of netcode as well. And then, unfortunately for T, just huge hit to the inside wall. So this is where you're glad it's a virtual race. So he's unfortunately going to have to limp that thing, I believe, back to pit road if he didn't have to take a tow. Yeah, he's still trying to limp this thing back. That's a scary sight for the field to kind of come around.
Oh, big incident.
Oh my goodness. Yep, there they are. Andrew McMurray was involved. Who else was in that one? I saw, was it Raphael Eckert? Yeah. Oh, Eckert's up and over. and he's not able to get on his wheels to try to roll anymore. So unfortunately, McMurray's that car won't rotate at all, and looks like he's had to take a quick tow, as has McMurray. And Teed's on pit road. And now this is going to be intriguing too, is at the time of the yellow, like you had mentioned, is Peterson ahead of Teed or is Teed ahead of Peterson? I think it'll go to Eric Peterson, but let's first go back. We'll take a look at a turn 4. Those last couple laps, it just unfortunately started all kicking off. So let's go back. We'll take a
Teed
look
is currently lost in the pit lane, so there's that situation. He's trying to find his pit box, so I think Eric Peterson's going to get the wave around here.
All right, so we're going to jump over to that 16. And so you can see him there passing Teed. I don't think that plays at all a role in this. I think we're going to see here is just they kind of, again, going for the same real estate. It kind of has that look to it. So we'll watch here as they come out. And, oh, yeah, left front to right rear. And, oh, my goodness, just, yeah, hooks the two of them. Actually, we got to check on Chris Stouffer, too, because he may have got a little piece of that as well. Possibly Jim Herrick as well. So we're going to pause it one more time because I want to focus on the 64 now because there's a few more cars coming into his path. Jim Brooks is one, maybe sneaks through that one. But yeah, the 13 and the 40, potential question marks for them. But what I can tell you, though, as I'm sure you're watching as well, a lot of drivers went ahead and hit pit road here, possibly for some that maybe had damage from the incident. Others just saying, you know what, we need the tires here. 3 or 4 that stayed out, though: Matt Wagner, Jim Herrick, Craig Forsyth, and Gary Laverne. So 3 of those 4 drivers looking for their first win of the season here. So we haven't had an opportunity. Let's take a quick break here, show off our wonderful sponsor, 4D Racewear, and we'll be right back.
4D Racewear, makers of the ultimate sim racing shoes and custom apparel designed for sim racing by sim racers. 4D racing shoes are engineered to connect racers to the pedals in a way no other racing shoe can, all the while giving you the comfort needed to complete those double and triple stints. Visit 4dracewear.com and check out the latest sim racing products that let you connect to your sim.
All right, lights are off of the pace car, and we can confirm that it is Eric Peterson that is back on the lead lap after all is said and done. So he is going to restart in 15th, but in the longest line again, just due to the way the wave round situation works. However, we do have quite the battle for the lucky dog position if we get another yellow, because Raphael Eckert, Charles Teed, Andrew McMurray, all 3 right together, all now trapped to 1 lap down. So they're going to be all vying for it, but I think the bigger story, like we just talked about before the break, you've got the top 4 did not pit, opting for track position, and 3 of those top 4 have not won a race this season, and we know how hungry these guys are going to be for wins here tonight. So it's going to be a lot of fun to see. Chris Stouffer, the first of those on tires, followed by Nick DeGroot, Jeff Heisong, Casey Pahutsky, Jim Brooks, Yari Brupacher as well. So yeah, this is going to be very interesting to see how these guys kind of play this out and see, do the tires make enough difference. It's about 15 laps, I'd say, roughly difference on tires between the leaders, top 4 to the guys that pitted there at 87.
Yeah, I'm not really sure tires make such a huge difference here, so I imagine these top 4 will stay, well, they'll stay where they are at least for the first lap, but it'll start to mix up quite a bit once we get into the tires being warmed through their heat cycle and everything. So Matt Wagner's going to do his best to keep the lead. We'll see if he does it.
Oh, a little bit of a hiccup there. That's going to stack up the guys behind, and that's going to give a nice breakaway for those top 3 because Gary Laverne did not have the start he was hoping for. We saw Nick DeGroot there jump down to the bottom to try to avoid any contact, as well as Chris Stouffer, and that's going to now let the top 3 have a little bit of breathing room. As Matt Wagner, though, Craig Forsyth, we'll see. Say he's got 240 race where teammates going to try to go after him here, both on the outside as they head into turn number 3. Craig is clear, just clears the number 6 car. Craig's going to take the point out of 4.
That was very, very exciting at turn 3 there. I'm not really sure what the old tires would have done there, but it seems like they all just kind of kept position, and we're back to 3 wide again going into turn 1.
So once again, I think Craig's going to try to hug the bottom. Look at the 40, though, ran way up top there, tries to get the big exit. Matt's got to be careful not to open up the middle because we've seen that middle get taken a couple times. But also I'm watching a little further back there, Christopher. He's gotten up to that 4th spot now. Again, he's got fresher tires, and they should start to get that temperature. But look at the dirty air there, washed up right across the nose of the 32. But we got 9 to go.
I'm interested to see how much of a move Chris can make here. I think there's no room for him to go anywhere, really. Kind of just ride the middle. Gary Lovern is still kind of just holding that position there on the old tires. He hasn't been swallowed up by the pack yet, but once a couple of these fresh tire guys go by, I think it'll be difficult. But Gary's making a charge on the outside of Jim Herrick there.
You got a couple guys way up at the top there. I think you got Jim Brooks there, Yari Brewpacker, Casey Bahutsky. These guys all on top of each other there as well. Jeff Heisung's in that mix. And you're right, though. I mean, it's a train right now. There's just, where do you position your car? I mean, it's, they always make the joke about LA traffic, and that's about what we got here. Oh man, I thought the 13 and the 40 made contact, but luckily they were able to keep off each other.
It's not even a blanket. It's just a piece of paper you can throw with these cars right now. Oh, we got a little contact with Jim Brooks and Pahutsky there, entering 3, but they seem to get away with it. Yeah, it's the point now. There's nowhere to go. These cars that stayed out. Oh, contact. There's contact.
Oh my goodness, one up and over. I think that may have been, multiple cars involved. Eric Peterson.
I think that started with Gary Lovern and Jeff Heisung got together entering turn 1. I believe that's how that started.
Oh no, that wasn't. I'm sorry, that was Charles Teed I saw flipping up and over. I apologize. Yeah, so let's take another look at this because I think you're exactly right. I think a little further back here. Well, I think it was around Andrew McMurray. No, actually, I'm sorry. He's the one that went flying up and over. Let's go back a little further. Oh, yep, I just saw like you're talking about with Gary Laverne. So let's focus in on him. Get a better angle so we can actually see the cars here. And I think, again, it's one of those situations you're trying to make a move. You see the 32, he jumps low, but the problem is there was a car there. They ricochet off each other. And then while he's trying to hang on to it, actually, let me back it down here real quick. We'll switch over to Jeff Heisung. We're going to see right here, nowhere for Andrew McMurray to go. That guy goes up and over in the air. And the car that I thought was Eric Peterson was actually Charles Teed. You also see there, I believe that was, there goes Teed bunny hopping.
And Bill Colley, yeah. I think it was actually.
Oh no, it's Brad Adams. Brad Adams was the other guy.
Brad Adams. Okay. Yep.
But yeah, then Bill Colley got a piece, and then Charles Teed, unfortunately, as well. So and say, we'll go back one more time here, take another look from Charles Teed because he was a little further back there. But again, we're running super slow mo, so there's a lot happening that we can't see. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna watch this angle one more time. Watch the 16.
That's wild.
This is probably the craziest shot I've seen. You just see this guy, and just flips up and over into the air. Oh my goodness. And then then you're also having to guess where's everybody go. And again, these guys are going 210, and then T just hops over the tires of Bill Colley as well as the 18 of Jeff Heisung. And unfortunately, a number of cars involved in that one. So we'll jump back live. Nothing strategy wise has changed other than those involved having to pit. And double checking to see, I don't know. I don't think Raphael Eckert got the wave around. I'm still showing him one down. I wonder if did Elmer Joseph get the wave by? Because I'm showing him lead lap. So I'm not 100% sure if there was maybe already got a piece of it and we're all involved. But what we do know, the Tuesday Area 51 Dark Horse Series, Andrew, does not have green-white checkers. However, we're going to get the 1 to go on 4 to go. We'll restart this thing with 3 to go. So pretty much at that point, next yellow will end this race. And that's a very, very tough position to be in because, again, you don't know when and where to make your move. You can't just say, okay, I'll wait till the white flag because at that point it's official. Because in this series, 3 to go, 2 to go, it's going to be an official race. So should a yellow come out. So these guys got to really kind of try to make their moves. And it's just going to make everybody just kind of that much more ramped up to try to make this happen.
Yeah, I was actually going back to see if anyone got the lucky dog, but I don't see anybody that went high there. So I find that kind of strange. I guess all the lap time cars were involved in the
I think
incident.
they all
so
got a piece, yeah.
Yeah, I think they all got a piece. So I don't really think that anyone got the opportunity there.
But it does mean, though, is we got 14 cars still vying for the win. Jeff Heisong, with all his craziness, he was able to get his fast repair in, so he's still in the thick of this one as well. There were, I think, actually, yeah, Jeff's the only guy that pitted under that previous yellow, so everybody else, again, he had to with the damage. But, yeah, so nobody decided, you know what, we don't want the fresh tires because, again, I think it's the right call, even if you're in the back, because they take that lap or so to build up temperature, and I don't think that's going to be worthwhile at this point with the 3 to go restart.
Yeah, it's all going to matter who gets the best restart here. I think Craig Forsyth has found his spot on the bottom there, so he's going to be a very, very tough car to get around. And I know Matt is very hungry for a win. He's had a very rough couple weeks here, so he's going to do anything he can.
Yeah, and he's been fighting tooth and nail with Craig the last handful of races, and unfortunately, Craig's been able to get him a couple times. So, you know, he's got the bit between his teeth here. He's like, I'm not gonna finish behind Craig again.
Be a very exciting 3 laps here, and I hope we stay green for the whole thing, so we can see a nice big battle right to the finish.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. Again, Craig's control car can go as early or late as he chooses. Now he is down and away, gets a good little start there. Nick DeGroot is ready, though. Look how tight he was on Matt Wagner. As, again, they start to try to break that draft a little bit. Looks like through the field, everybody's looking good as well. Again, they still got to go 2 more laps to get the white flag. At that point, they do race it out to the finish. If there's a yellow, though, before that, I believe it will be an official race. So, again, Craig's going to have to play as much defense as he can here. Matt's going to try to peek to the outside.
Watching Stouffer is trying to make his moves as best he can with Jim Herrick. We still got the same 4 cars, or sorry, Nick's group was one of the pitters, actually. Most of the guys that stayed out, it was a good strategy for them to try and keep in the mix of this race, and just proves that the new tires didn't necessarily make that big of a difference. But we got Stouffer that's really just put himself right in the mix here. I think he's got a shot, but if not, I think Craig is just pinned right to the bottom here. We'll have to see what happens going to turn 3. We're getting very close, Gael.
Yeah, Matt and Nick DeGroot. Nick saw a gap he wanted to go for it, didn't. I think he thought better of it, rolled out of it, and right now it has been so tight between Matt and Craig, and it looks like we will get to the white yard. Brew Parker's going to take a 4 wide, 1 to go here.
I think Yari had quite a run there, but he's going to run out of racetrack as everyone's still pinned on the low side. I think Craig is still exactly where he wants to be. I don't think he's going to be able to give this up, and Nick is trapped right boxed in the inside there. I think, wow, looks like Jim's actually going to really go for it right in the middle line there.
Now it's all about who's going to get the run out of turn number 4. Right now, Craig's got the shortest distance. Matt's going to have to squeeze as best he can. Got trouble in the back there. Craig's down to the apron, and I believe it will be Craig going to crown off the championship with the win here tonight at Auto Club over Matt Wagner. Jim Herrick's going to bring home a podium. We had someone going up and over there at the end as well, and we'll go back and look at that. But I think what Craig is, I think Matt's just like, man.
I think poor Nick DeGroot got boxed in right going down to the checkered flag there. So he just tried to take the apron and saw grass, and that was the end of that. So
I said, well, first watch what happened here from Nick DeGroot's point of view here towards the back. And again, that's what again the last there's the contact further back there you see. And is that Jeff? Oh, it's Jeff Heisong again. This poor guy at the very end. Big contact with he and who is that other car there? Taylor Reeves.
I think it was Taylor Reeves.
Yeah, Jim Brooks able to sneak. Look at these guys just driving through it. Raphael Eckert, I think, he split the middle of him. Then we'll go back one more time. We'll watch this. So you're talking about Nick DeGroot here going down to the grass. So let's focus on the 89 here. And then we'll take a look, and you see Nick makes the sharp left to the bottom, and a little too sharp there. And yeah, he does a little bit of off-roading here. And at this point, that car is just you're not controlling this thing. It's just going wherever it's going to go. And then at the line, we'll jump over to Craig, and so you can see there, and honestly, again, Matt's probably thinking Craig's going to go to stay on the white line. He doesn't maybe think about the white, or sorry, the apron, and so Craig gets him by just about a nose, or a little over a nose. I'd say you can see just about to the tire there. So, but yeah, what a finish, what a race though. That was just all out a really, really exciting one tonight by all these drivers, and we're gonna have a happy champion, happy couple finishers, and probably one very flustered runner-up tonight.
I think that was that. I'm so glad that they got to run green to the end there.
Yes.
You know, we don't have green, white checkered in the series like you mentioned, so it's always a little tricky when you get to the end of the race and you're trying to say, oh wow, well these cars actually make it, especially once the intensity sort of got ramped up quite a bit there. So I'm glad these guys finished the season under green with a photo finish there from Forsyth and Wagner, and really the whole top 10 was right there in play there, and Yari really gave it everything he could, and even Jim Herrick right there in the last couple of corners really thought he might have had something for the top two.
Saying a wild Eric Peterson appeared there at the very end there while Craig was working on celebrations. We'll do real quick those. We'll jump back live. We're going to do our final results. We'll go back.
Really trying to celebrate.
I'll say we'll go back and we'll show the celebrations as well, because that was something in itself to watch. But Craig Forsyth going to get the win by 13 thousandths of a second over Matt Wagner. Jim Herrick brings it home in third for a first and third for the 40 Raceway drivers. Christopher Yari Brupacher top fives. And actually, look at that, Yari Brupacher, Casey Pahutsky there, 1.151 with each other. So that one, actually, we might want to go back and look how close those two were. Nick DeGroot, we saw him doing some lawn mowing there. Also really close with Gary Laverne and Raphael Reynolds there as well for 8th and 9th. Eric Peterson brings home a top 10 after all was said and done for him. And then Jim Brooks, Elmer Joseph, Taylor Reeves, Jeff Heisong are lead lap finishers. And unfortunately, a couple early retirements, as well as a lap down for Raphael Eckert, but then Bill Cawley, Brad Adams, Andrew McMurray. And then unfortunately, the really good season ending, not the way Charles Tito's hoping for, in 19th here tonight. So I want to go back. I want to go look at this finish between Pahutsky, though, because I want to see how close those two are. Because again, I mean, it went to the thousandth, so that one's got to be a really good one for those two as well here. So we're going to go and slow this one down here. You see Pahutsky there in the 3. And yeah, he gets a huge draft here down the back. He jumps to the low side of Yari. And then right there at the line, I mean, yeah, that's about as close as you can get. Let me try to get a better angle to show. And yeah, you can see Yari looks like just a nose cone ahead. But yeah, what a great job by all these guys, though, tonight.
I was going to say that Pahutsky was one of those guys, like, in my opinion, he's the guy that persevered through all the drama and everything, and he's someone who's kind of been sitting just outside the top 10 for most of the season. But you mentioned his point situation earlier in the broadcast, that he was kind of in that top 6, top 7 points battle. So he may have been consistent throughout the whole season in finishing around the top 10 or so, but he gets himself a nice finish here, right nestled in the top 10, and that should make him feel really good going into next season. And perhaps he's learned quite a bit about the type of racing and how he can get himself some good finishes. So congrats to him.
Yeah, no, it's a great job by him. And we got to talk to some podium finishers, and we're going to start off with our third place finisher, which will be a Mr. Jim Herrick. And Jim, the bottom and the middle lanes were taken. You decided to try the top side, and it was looking pretty good there a few times where you were getting a nose ahead at the right times, but it just seemed like it was too hard to get the timing spot on there at the end. I mean, how do you balance that? Because obviously you want to try to win. You know, you got a teammate vying for the win too. Is that one of those ones where knowing kind of the championship's already taken care of, it's like, let's just outright brawl for it? Or, I mean, take us through the thoughts there at the end, trying to go for it tonight.
Yeah, there was definitely a brawl at the end there. Everybody just kind of bunched up and was going for whatever open real estate was available. There was the potential to sneak by there on that third line, but in order to get there, you had to lay back and time the run perfectly. And it was okay when when people were just kind of running in line or they weren't really fighting. But on the last lap, there were too many cars behind, and I couldn't lay up enough. I would have been overwhelmed and probably finished like sixth or something. But I just tried to sneak in there and just stay in the draft enough to keep the second row of cars behind, and yeah, it worked out for a podium tonight.
Did you find that the staying out when everyone else pitted there on whatever caution that was, lap 90 or so, was that done for track position and trying to see if maybe your old tires weren't so old and you can kind of maybe just jump a few spots organically there and perhaps have a shot at the win? Or were you scared that perhaps at the end of the race you might have been swallowed up like Gary Lovern was?
Yeah, I didn't have too much trouble with the tires. I didn't really see any reason to try and change them. I didn't think they were going to make that much of a difference, so I just decided to stay out. I figured if they're warm, probably be good. I don't know. It worked out though.
Yeah, I mean it was a lot of fun. I say, and obviously this was I think probably one of the better tracks to finish the season at as well, just by the way the track races. It seemed like there was a nice balance between kind of tire wear, but then also just the outright pace of the cars. So, I mean, did it feel like, because there was times where a few guys would just hug the bottom. Did it feel like when you were watching, did it seem like the bottom was giving up a little bit over the course of the tire run? Or, I mean, what was your thought process on that whole part at the end?
Yeah, I didn't run that low line too much. I tried to stay in the high line. I was saving fuel a lot. Uh, I went longer. I think maybe me and Eckert were the only two that went. I think we went the longest out of anybody in the first stint, but it didn't really work out. I ended up at the tail end of the pack when I came back out, which was okay, but uh, it did give me that, one extra lap, so one less at the end, if you're fueling in a green flag stop. But yeah, just I don't know, just kind of ran my race, and the high line was working for me, and my tires were good, so I didn't have to go down there on the low line to make many passes or anything. So I figured why get the extra wear on the tires, just lay back and get around to the end. This track's always, it provides great racing, and the draft keeps people close. But you still have to drive the car a little bit. It's not like you can just go foot to the floor the whole time. So, um, yeah, that was pretty much my strategy, was just to stay in it and do what was working. And we ended up riding around to the end and getting a podium.
It was a great result for you, Jim. As I know you've been busy behind the scenes, and definitely want to. I say before we let you give your shout outs, I want to thank you as well for everything you've been doing for the league with 40 Raceware. I say it's been a lot of fun working with you, and looking forward to doing more of that in the future. So, I know you got some stuff in the works, so I look forward to kind of getting those announcements as well soon. But yeah, great job tonight, man, and definitely want to give you the floor for any thanks and shouts for that run tonight, and of course the season this year.
Yeah, thanks. Definitely working hard on 4D here, and uh, hopefully we'll have some announcements by the time the next season comes around. I know we're going to take a little break here, and kind of looking forward to that. But I'm definitely looking forward to the next season, and we'll be talking about something for that season coming up. But for now, just give a shout out to 4D Racewear and to PitFit, who's one of our partners. If you're a PitFit member, you can buy 4D Racewear sim racing shoes and gloves at their shop or at their facility here in Indianapolis. And yeah, shout out to Craig for the win, and Matt getting on the podium there, and all you guys at Green White Checker for putting on such a good show for everyone. Thanks a lot.
Great job tonight, Jim. Look forward to, I say, enjoy the break, but also look forward to see you back on track. But yeah, go enjoy this one, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna celebrate a little tonight and have a break, but I'll be looking forward to the start of the next season.
All right, sir. We'll talk to you soon. Great job tonight.
Thank you.
Take care, Jim.
All right, we got to jump one car further forward, and saying that is going to be this fella here in that number 6 of Matt Wagner getting the runner up here tonight. And Matt, so you were kind of between a rock and a hard place there. You had a lot of 4D racewear guys around you on the inside, on the outside, behind you at some points. There was a couple times you looked like you had it there on the outside line, and then the one thing I caught there on the last lap coming to the out of 4 was it looked like you were kind of protecting the white line versus Craig going all the way down to the apron. Was that something you were thinking about, or is that a heat of the moment thing? Just like, hey, I got to make sure I don't kind of like squeeze the 99 car down below the apron.
Yeah, it was actually a pretty good fight. I thought I had the edge. I saw him lift a little bit coming out of 4 a little bit. I had a little bit of a buffer there. I almost cleared him on the back stretch. I was watching. I was like probably a wheel length for me to clear the bottom. If I would have cleared that bottom, it would have been pretty much game over. I was so close, but the momentum was on his side. But the apron was more of his friend. So I knew that the last lap the apron was going to be in play. But I saw Nick go down there. I was watching in my mirror too. And I'm not sure if there was another lane close enough to get to him. I can run the very bottom, but it's a little bit bumpy down there. Hey, Kitty, how you doing? Sorry, Gaio. So I don't know, man. It's awfully close. Finished second to Craig again. It's terrible.
Gael stole my question, so now I have to come up with another one. So I'll just
Nailed
go
it.
with
Go for it.
I'll go with you had told me pre-race, Matt, that the hugging the white line stuff wouldn't happen at this track. So I'm curious to hear. I'm curious to hear your take on that. I have my own take on it, but I'll take yours first.
Okay, so I was watching the track temp, and it was actually going down, which I was kind of really disappointed. I had to set the session up for the track temp to go up through today, and it went down, and that just kind of really destroyed things. And but when track temp down, the guys were hugging that damn bottom. I was like, well, that sucks.
Well, one thing you should learn from iRacing is that for some reason they like to treat Auto Club Speedway like it's in like Greenland. For some reason, it's always like 80 degrees at this track, no matter what you set. You have to artificially and all that stuff, and it's more annoying than you think. That's something that we talk about on the open side all the time. But yeah, I once I saw Craig start to hug that bottom line, I was really trying to pump it up that he would eventually run out of tires there. And there were a couple times where he kind of slipped a little bit on the bottom and wasn't able to hold it down there, and he got past. So it wasn't all roses and rainbows there.
Right. So tires were actually, after my first run, my tires were down to about 59% on the right front. So they were wearing really good. The start of the race, the track temp was pretty good. Like I said, throughout the day, it started getting cooler, and I started getting more mad. So, well, there goes my tactic of trying to do the crossover move. It's man. Oh, so close, dude. But so close, no cigar. But gotta hand it to the champ. He's raced good all season long. Of course, he does a lot more racing than I do in these cars. I do it once a week, and props to him.
Yeah, so he's a sneaky feller. Saying the hard part is to say he's so nice. It's like it's hard to be mad at him on those. But yeah, I mean, Matt, you had a really good season too. It's just unfortunate, like I said, you had a couple little hiccups with computer issues, weather, storms, and
I'd rather not go into that.
So I mean, all things considered, though, I mean, I'm going to say it's still a really good season for you tonight. Getting the runner up tonight and the race as well into the season. I mean, I'd say it's definitely one I feel like you still hold your head up high on.
Oh yeah, it's no doubt, my man. It's eventually all things considered. It's been a good season. We're going to do a lot of recruiting on the off season. These guys are really true good racers in here, and I thoroughly like racing them every week. Guys, if you guys choose to come on out here, race at Area 51, it's a banger, man. It's a lot of fun. Good guys to race with. Um, of course, everybody has their moments and everything, but that's just part of sim racing. People get upset and it happens. But I'll be doing a lot of recruiting races. If you want to contact me, you can contact me at iRacing via my name, and we'll get you set up. And hopefully, races will be great.
All right, well, great job tonight, Matt. Definitely, before we let you go and enjoy a little bit of a break yourself, definitely want to give you the floor for any thanks and shout outs for that runner-up tonight.
All right. Actually, special shout out to Mark and the other Mark Cohn and Mark Murphy. I know they were watching. Shout out to you guys. I appreciate you, my teammates for Dark Horse. Love you guys so much, and especially you, Watchman. You're the good true friend. I really do appreciate you. Shout out to TWRS Setup Shop. They will be one of our primary sponsors for next year. Love you guys to death. And you guys in the booth who do everything possible to bring out the best broadcast possible. So thank you guys. Appreciate you. Looking forward to the off season. I'll be watching. Thank you, guys.
All right, great job, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you. Yep.
All right, so we got one driver left to chat with, and I'd say he had a hard time doing any burnouts there at the end because he was getting bullied by everybody there at the end. So I don't know if that's people getting fed up with this Craig fella winning all the time or what, but Craig, it was an eventful one tonight. We loved the gamble there. Actually, no, you know what? I'm gonna steal as I did it last time. So, Andrew, you kick it off.
Okay, my question this time for Craig. I was curious about the low line, and did you feel like there was any point when you were running down there? Did you feel like that you had it the whole time during the stint, or did you feel like you might have actually gone ahead and lost a spot, or how comfortable were you running that line?
I knew I was in danger at any time. If anyone could put together a run, I was in danger. And I think at one point Yari got. I mean, he clean on. He
was the closest. You're right.
He pulled a proper run behind me and was able to complete it before the corner. And there's nothing you can do about that if it happens. So that was where at that point I knew it was like, okay, the bottom line is perfect. You just need to make sure that we're all bunched up and stuff, which makes for really, really stressful driving when you're 3 wide every single lap. But as long as you're bunched up like that, no one's going to get ahead of you.
Yeah, and all you could do is stack up the rest of the field behind you, and you get someone like Raphael who splits it up the middle and then makes it very interesting for all parties. So
was it actually 4 wide there? Because yeah,
at a couple points it was for sure.
It was a little nerve-wracking,
but it looked like a lot of fun. But yeah, and then so where I was going to go, I wasn't sure if I was going to step on Andrew's toes or not. There was the pit sequence there at the end. You decided to try to do the short pit, and were you thinking, maybe hoping that you would be able to tag onto the back of the draft with that shorter pit stop and then kind of be able to maybe pull your way back through them? Or was it just hey, this is getting pretty hectic, I'm going to try something different? Like, what was the thought process there? Is it kind of one of those, like, I've got it locked up, let me take a bigger gamble than I wouldn't? Or like, where were you thinking there?
That was exactly it. I figured it was either win or be a lap down. But I figured because I was at the in the front area there, I'd be able to come out and be the lead of the lap down cars. So at the worst, I'd get a lucky dog, which is still not optimal. But I figured, I'm gonna hook up. I'm gonna come around, hook up, and I thought they were strung out enough that I was gonna be able to hook up with the tail end of the pack. And then all I needed was, once you have that, you need 3 laps, and you'll gain 4 seconds on the pack. So I figured it was worth the gamble, and then it just the caution came out at the wrong time and shut that down. I think I had just gotten it to like 1.4. I was just starting to get the draft, and the draft was starting to pull me forward, and then suddenly it didn't matter anymore.
So yeah, so what's the emotion there where you got that going and then the caution comes out, and because I mean then I'm sure you're looking in your mirror too, you see the gap you've got over the guys that did also pit. Is that one of those like, oh man, if I think I had this if not for that?
Yeah, it was lost opportunity. I knew it had worked out, and I it was going to be good, but that's fine. We regrouped, got the lucky dog, came back around on fresh tires. They got all bunched up right in front of me there, which unfortunately created a gap in the pack. So we were able to lead the second pack, and it took I think 10 or 12 laps to finally catch back up to the lead group at that point. So and then we could resume the battle, of course. And then when that final caution came out, I just figured, I've got nothing to lose at this point. We're just going to stay out. I knew as long as if I could get onto the bottom, that I could, even with the bit older tires, it was more important to be the lead car on the bottom. So it was just a matter of getting the jump on Matt down the back straight to on the initial start, because that's always your best opportunity to complete the pass and take the lead.
Well, it was a really good race tonight. Obviously, really great season for you as well. I'm sure it's always fun to kind of finish the championship season kind of with the best result you can as well, getting the win, despite everybody's best efforts to kind of dethrone you and then dethrone you from doing celebratory burnouts there as well. But yeah, just a hell of a season tonight, Craig, and definitely want a big congrats to you on that one, and definitely want to give you the floor for thanks shouts for the win tonight as well as the championship.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say it's nice to win a championship again, because it's been a bit. So yeah, no, I gotta think. I mean, as I said, everyone was rousing me there. That's why they thoroughly destroyed my car, and with good purpose. They wanted to make sure I had to build a new one for when we come back next year. So no, everyone at Area 51, it's a good bunch of guys. Love the racing. We're out here every Tuesday doing the racing with all the same core crew. Plus, we keep getting new guys that come in, and they the ones that stick around, we love them bunches. And Jim ended up on the bottom of the podium today, so he got his podium finally. So shout out to Jim and 4D Racewear for sponsoring the car, sponsoring the league, and they good driving shoes, good driving gloves, and of course you and Andrew doing the broadcast for us. Thank you very much, guys. Love watching it back. Love hearing you guys talk.
All right, well, we'll let you go enjoy this. I think some of those guys are still waiting for you. So, but yeah, great job though tonight, Craig. Go enjoy this one, and look forward to seeing you go for defending that title.
Thanks. You guys have a good rest of your night and stay safe.
Thanks.
All right, that's a season. As I say, Craig's still getting bullied now in victory lane there by Matt Wagner. Like you said, they just
yeah.
They just couldn't help themselves. They just wanted to give him a hard time, it appears. But no, I mean, what a great race though tonight. I mean, like I said, I have like 4 tracks that are kind of like my must-haves for these cars, which is basically here, Michigan, Indy, and Pocono. Like I feel like those are probably my favorite tracks in with the Indy cars at in iRacing. And tonight was not a disappointment by any means.
It's interesting that you had that graphic up of Matt and all the cars harassing Craig. As Craig is here talking about how these core group of guys in this league all show up every week. They know how to push each other's buttons and get under each other's skin and everything like that. And it's something like that really is appealing to a lot of the guys that show up week after week in this league and everything. So hopefully whatever we come back with next season, whatever they have in store is just as exciting, and we'll have to see where it takes us.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to see what that next season entails. Like I said, I don't believe there'll be anything broadcasted upcoming this for the IndyCar series this season. But again, there will be hosted races and trying to just kind of get everybody build a few more cars and everything like that. So definitely, again, if you're interested in these things on Tuesday nights, Area 51iRacing.com. And of course, like I said, get in touch with Matt Wagner, one of the main admins there, Craig Forsyth as well. Say they can definitely point you in the right direction. But Andrew, it has been a pleasure doing this season with you. Like I said, it feels like it was like a few weeks ago that we started, and somehow we blink and we're back here again. So, yeah, I just want to thank you for everything this season. You've been just a lot of fun to work with, and look forward to doing it more with you. And then I'll say maybe even share some time on track during some of these during the break.
Yeah, this has been quite an eye-opening experience for me. I've been a racer my whole life, and I kind of just stepped in with you when you were lonely one time without a commentator, and next thing you know, we find ourselves here kind of feeding off each other's chemistry week after week, and it's been a lot of fun, and I really actually look forward to Tuesday nights every week doing this with you as well. So the feeling is mutual, and I'm looking forward to see what we got going on in the future and see what other exciting races we can call here.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. So again, we're not done racing yet, though. We've still got a couple Thursday night races to go. That one's just a little off sequence again due to some issues with DDoS attacks and so on and so forth. So Thursday night, this upcoming week, we'll run our second to last race at Atlanta Motor Speedway, followed by our season finale in a week after that at Daytona to crown a champion. So there'll be a couple more races left to go here at Green White Checker TV. So again, everybody that watches and supports us, thank you all so much for being a part of this. It's a lot of fun, and saying everybody hopping and chiming with us, it makes it a lot more enjoyable as well. So for myself, as well as Andrew Wood, thank you guys so much for watching, for supporting us. And of course, until next time, as always, take care, stay safe, and have a good night.